I'm John Bond. Welcome to Move Yourself Happy. Made for fitness enthusiasts who want to make their passion their profession. Are you unhappy in your present job? Are you passionate about health and fitness? Do you want to release your true potential? If the answer is yes, this podcast is for you. I will be teaching you the specific knowledge that every trainer and coach needs to be successful. So listen closely as I share my expertise with you. So just like me, you can love what you do. Hello and welcome to my first episode, Happy Hormones. Today I'm on Sisby Ring in sunny Sussex, and this is a lovely setting to talk about happy hormones. So I'm going to be going through 4 hormones that we associate with feeling happy, and how coaches and trainers can use these hormones to brighten up their clients' day. So first hormone I'm going to talk about is endorphins. Now when people talk about happy hormones, often endorphins is the first one that we think of. So I'd say it's probably quite widely understood and widely known, but not as well as you probably think, because when I first got introduced to endorphins, it was actually when I was getting a tattoo done, and this was years ago now, and it was a tattoo on my back, on my spine, and about halfway through I remember the guy that was doing the tattoo said to me, are you alright? You getting on alright there? And trying to be sort of tough and not show that I was suffering or in any pain at all, I sort of gripped my teeth and said, yeah, I'm alright, you keep going, but actually it was really painful. And he said, well, don't worry, in a minute you're going to release your endorphins and they're going to numb the pain and you're going to feel much, much better. So that was kind of the first time someone introduced to me the word endorphin, I think, as a painkiller. And obviously I've done some further research into this, and that's exactly what it does. It is a painkiller. It's our natural painkiller. So whenever you're in any kind of pain or discomfort, your body will naturally release endorphins to numb that pain. Now, how does that associate with exercise? Well, this is the thing. So in order to get a boost of endorphins, coaches and trainers do need to actually get their clients to step out of their comfort zone. So one of the reasons clients often come and see us as coaches and trainers is because they need somebody to motivate them, to get them to work at that sort of intensity that they can't get to without the motivation of a coach or a trainer. And there is definitely some logic in that, because obviously some physiological benefits of training occur at higher intensities, but just from the happy hormones alone, we need to work hard and challenge ourselves and experience discomfort to get the release of endorphins. Now, don't panic. That doesn't mean that if you're exercising, you rarely challenge yourself or put yourself through discomfort, you're not going to get a happy hormone boost, because there are others which we'll talk about. But if you want to maximize the release of those happy hormones, in particular endorphins, we do need to challenge ourselves. And if you think about it, often runners will talk about the runner's high. So they'll go for a run and they'll push themselves quite hard. It might be they try and get their 5K PB, or they might go over the hills, somewhere like this, where there's lots of different terrains and things, where the intensity changing all the time, but there's periods where it's very, very challenging. Interval training is notorious for taking us out of our comfort zone and challenging ourselves. Circuit training, where you're at a station, you're working hard, and then you get brief rest before you move on to the next station. Very, very good for ramping up the intensity and releasing those endorphins. So that's what you're looking at. So if you want to get specifically endorphins and get a release of happy hormones that way, challenge and discomfort. So think about that. Think about your intervals. Think about your more advanced training systems. When you're doing your weights in the gym, if you're doing bodybuilding type training, your supersets, your triceps, your giant sets, your drop sets, all that nasty stuff that we'll talk about in another podcast, that's the stuff that's going to really take you out of the comfort zone and give you those endorphins. So take home from that for you trainers and coaches is, yes, try and encourage your clients to step out of their comfort zone, but obviously be mindful that you can't be doing that every single day, smashing your clients, because they will lead to overtraining. They will stop enjoying it, and they're just going to get fatigued. So, which can potentially lead to injury as well. So that's the benefits there, but obviously there's the cons that we can't do it all the time. Now, next hormone I'm going to talk about is dopamine. And dopamine is a great hormone because we associate dopamine actually with accomplishment and getting things done. So you'll often get a little release of dopamine when you cross things off a to-do list. And I don't know about you, but I love to-do lists. I have them on like electronic versions, but I never get as much satisfaction and pleasure and enjoyment as when I actually have a paper and pen and I write the list and then I cross it off on the paper with a pen. Don't know why, always feels much more satisfying to cross it off on an actual bit of paper. So that's dopamine. Now, what's the link between that and exercise? Well, again, when you say to yourself, I am going to go to the gym after work, and you pack your gym stuff and you finish work and you go to the gym, you do that workout, you'll feel a sense of pride because you'd planned to do that workout, you did it, you didn't bin it off, and you completed it and you feel good for it. That's going to be dopamine. Now, dopamine is actually really addictive. Unfortunately, when we drink alcohol, if people take drugs, smoke, they tend to get a release of dopamine from doing those things. And it's very addictive, why people get addicted to those sort of things. And people do get addicted to exercise as well. Now, obviously, any addiction is not healthy because just by the nature of the word addiction suggests it's unhealthy. With exercise, as long as you're moderating it, as long as you're aware that you might be sort of addicted to exercise and you're moderating it somewhat, it's certainly going to be one of the better addictions you can have. Now, am I addicted? Probably. I can certainly moderate it though, so I know that there's a limit to how much exercise I can do personally before it's going to have a detrimental effect on my general balance in life. You know, the time I spend with family, friends and work and doing so much that I'm always tired and fatigued. So I'm good like that. But if I don't get exercise in a day, I'm like a dog, I need to be walked every day, probably twice a day. If I don't get exercise in, then I'm just not my best version of myself. And I'm sure some of you guys listening can relate to that. So it is very addictive, and this is probably the reason why a lot of people get addicted to exercise. But you can maximize the use of this hormone by actually scheduling workouts in your calendar. Now, again, this is great for coaches and trainers. When you keep a training log and you show clients their completed sessions, they're going to feel good about that because it's showing them accomplishment. It's showing them that they're checking off workouts. You know, I'm not suggesting, if you're a trainer or a coach that never writes a program, never logs anything, I'm not suggesting you're a bad coach or trainer, because I think particularly in this day and age, there's so many variations, and as long as you're addressing a need, which might be just motivating somebody to get up and get moving, then I think you're doing a good job. However, you are missing out on opportunity there to actually maximize the release of dopamine by showing clients that they are adhering to exercise, and that is going to get the dopamine. So bear that in mind. Applications and things, very, very good at this. So I've got a Garmin tracker watch, and when I do a workout, it'll congratulate me, say you've got a workout done. Now, I don't necessarily have even had to have accomplished anything within that workout, but it's going to congratulate me for doing the workout. Strava is very similar. If you're into Strava will clock your runs, your bikes, your swims and things. And it will just keep a log of everything you've done, and you can reflect on it and feel good about that because you've accomplished it. You've set out to do these things and you've done them, and you know you're one step closer to achieving your goals. So that feels good. And so that's dopamine. So for you coaches and trainers, I'd say a way to maximize that is to log training sessions, certainly write programs. At Storm Fitness Academy, we teach all our students to write programs for clients and keep a training log. And just to congratulate your clients on completing sessions. They don't always have to have made some tangible progress within that session other than they've turned up today and they did all the exercises. So it is a reason to celebrate and to pat them on the back. Okay, so that's your dopamine. Next one we're going to talk about is serotonin. Now, serotonin, another great hormone, because we associate serotonin probably with status. So if you've ever had a promotion, if you've ever won a race or a competition which shows you that you're the best out of the group or whatever, you'll get a surge of serotonin because your status has been elevated. And coaches and trainers, you can definitely leverage this hormone to improve somebody's day or your client's day. So again, this is why, I'm a sports science geek. That's what my degree's in. My master's is in strength and conditioning, so I do like data. But I probably like data even more because I now know what the research says about the impact it has on people. So for example, my master's in strength and conditioning focused on exercise and mental health. And for my dissertation, I found a study where it showed that being physically active and exercising definitely improves people's self-esteem compared to not exercising. But it was more significant, if you were a beginner, so if you went from doing nothing to exercising, but actually if you had evidence that you were better than the person you were than you were before, than the person when you started. That didn't make sense at all. Let me say that again. So basically, as long as you've got data that shows that you have improved over time, that's going to have an impact on your self-esteem. So let's say, for example, first time you go and see your coach or your trainer, you can do 5 press-ups in a minute. Over a period of 12 weeks, you can now do 25. So you've got that evidence that shows you are a better athlete than the person you were before. You're an upgraded version of yourself. That is going to have an impact on your self-esteem. Self-esteem has an impact on your mental health. So it all contributes towards that. So this is a great opportunity for you coaches and trainers to log data. And back in the day when I first started, 25 years ago, I would have to do this on paper, on clipboards, and I have to be quite organised with my paperwork and look through the bits of paper to find all the information to give to that client. And it was harder, but now, today, you've got applications that do that. So for those of you that don't know, there's various applications, but one I particularly like is called Trainerize. I have no association with Trainerize, but it's wonderful for showing you all the time where you've improved. So we talked about dopamine and how you'll get congratulated because you completed a workout, and it'll keep a running total of how many workouts you've done. So that's great for the dopamine, but for the serotonin, it will tell you when you've hit a PB in a lift. So let's say that's the heaviest you've ever done in a barbell back squat, it will tell you. If you've done the most amount of volume, which means the most amount of kilos times reps times sets across the entire session, it will tell you. So it's letting you know all the time where you've upgraded your fitness. And you can do it, it'll even log things like, Strava does this too, but your 5K run times, your 1K run times, your half marathon, your marathon, all that data. And there's a reason why these companies spend a lot of money on making these apps, because that data works. It definitely has an impact on your self-esteem. It releases serotonin. It will make your day better, but over the long term, actually it improves your self-confidence, your self-esteem, so your mental health in general is better. So another great reason why coaches and trainers need to log data, and also a great reason to get a coach or a trainer. Now, the fourth hormone I'm going to talk about is oxytocin. And oxytocin is actually the love hormone. So you might have heard it before when we talk about love. Oxytocin is the love hormone. And you might be thinking, well, how is that associated with exercise? Well, because exercise is brilliant for building like-minded communities. Now, you can do this online. You can do this face-to-face. So if you join, for example, a fitness class, so you go to your local leisure centre and you go to their circuit training class or their studio cycling class, and you go regularly, over time, people are going to get to know you. You're going to get to know them. And when you walk into that environment, what usually happens is somebody sees you walk and says, "Hi John, great to see you. how's everything going, how's the business, how's your wife, how's your children, and you feel valued, and the coach does the same, or the trainer does the same. And feeling valued as part of your tribe or your community will help you release oxytocin. And it's not just about receiving love, it's also about giving love as well. So when you brighten up someone else's day and you say, you know, great to see you again, I saw you last session, I saw you smashed your PB, well done, I bet that feels good, and you know, you deserve that, you've worked really hard. So all that positivity in a community or in a tribe, it has a really profound effect on your oxytocin levels. It releases oxytocin. High fives, fist pumps, you know, skin to skin physical contact releases oxytocin. It's why mothers hug their babies as soon as they've given birth. Straight away, that creates that bond. They both get oxytocin. It's a really nice moment. Now, obviously, physical contact now in fitness communities, we have to be very careful with it. There's a line to it. But things like high fives and fist pumps are great, aren't they? They're really great because that is physical contact and it's done in a very positive, meaningful way. So that's a good way you can get oxytocin. Now, if you are just training online, then you can still, it's never going to be as profound as face-to-face contact, but you can still be part of a like-minded community that are all working towards the same goal, supporting one another, encouraging one another, sharing your successes, troubleshooting as a group, you know, sharing problems, trying to solve them, empathizing with each other. So you can still benefit from that online as well as face-to-face. So that's your oxytocin. So just to give a roundup there, we had endorphins. So endorphins are actually our body's natural painkillers. Coaches and trainers can help clients release endorphins by encouraging them and motivating them to step out their comfort zones, experience a bit of challenge and discomfort. So they'll get that rush and that boost of endorphins after the session. But then also get the benefits of the additional increases in fitness from working at that higher intensity. You've also got dopamine, which was what I called the accomplishment hormone. So when you like set out to go to the gym and you do it and you finish the session, you feel proud about that, you'll get some dopamine. Coaches and trainers can keep a training log, keep reminding their clients how many sessions they've completed, congratulate them for it. You know, give them praise all the time, but real praise, and not that sort of fake, yeah, good job, but no specifics to it. Just say, you know, excellent, you know, you've actually completed 40 sessions, and in this time frame, that's excellent, well done. Then we had serotonin. So coaches and trainers, you're missing a trick if you're not collecting data. So collect data, you can use things like Trainer Eyes, there's also True Coach, various applications out there that will do that stuff for you, programming applications, but quite simply you can use something like Google Sheets to write programs and write the data in there if you want to be a bit more simplified. You can still use paper and a pen if you want, that's absolutely fine, as long as you're organised with it. So just keep giving the data, show that individual they are better than the person they were when they started. And you know, you're going to get those times where that person goes, oh, I haven't made any progress this week. And you reframe that and you go, well, you've maintained your progress. You think about the person you were 12 weeks ago who was doing nothing. Look how far you've come. Don't worry, I have weeks, I have days where things don't necessarily improve. The fact that you've turned up and you've completed today's session is something to celebrate. That's your serotonin. And then lastly, we talked about oxytocin, the love hormone. Love oxytocin, and that's all about building your fitness communities, giving love, receiving love, you know, recognizing people's accomplishments, being grateful, thanking one another, taking a genuine interest in one another, and just valuing each other. Thank you for listening. That's Happy Hormones. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking to you about exercise motivation and how coaches and trainers can use some theories, some psychological theories of motivation for really ramping motivation up in their clients. Have a great day. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, something you can do for me is subscribe to my show. And if you know anyone else that might be interested in this content, then please share it with them too. You can also head over to our socials and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. But if you're ready to take that next step, visit our website www.stormfitnessacademy.co.uk, fill out a contact form, that'll come straight to me. I will contact you shortly afterwards, and I look forward to speaking to you then.